When faced with criminal activities or tragic events, our instinct is to seek help from the police. However, what happens when the protector becomes the predator? An unimaginable scenario unfolded in the dimly lit kitchen of a Kim-On restaurant. Two individuals were discovered on their knees, one teetering on the brink of death while the other had already departed this world. Shockingly, the one responsible for this heinous act was none other than the very person who was meant to be their protector. This is the bone-chilling story of Antoinette Frank and her accomplice, Rogers Lacaze, the cop and the thug.
By the time she became a police officer, she was a full-blown sociopath. And she used her position that badge gave her to use and abuse others.
Antoinette Frank's entry into law enforcement raised concerns from the start. She was hired by the New Orleans Police Department in 1993 despite lies and failing psychological evaluations. The NOPD, seeking more African American officers to improve community relations, overlooked these red flags. However, this decision would have devastating consequences.
During a shooting, she met her future boyfriend, an alleged drug dealer named Rogers Lacaze, who had been badly injured during the shooting and who required help from Frank that night, as well as hospitalization.
It's no surprise that Frank's performance was awful. Colleagues described her as shy, inexperienced, and prone to making questionable choices. She engaged in a forbidden romantic relationship with Rogers Lacaze, a drug dealer, jeopardizing her career. There were even allegations of misconduct, such as stopping cars and robbing people while on duty. The situation took a chilling turn when Frank and Lacaze became involved in a horrific crime at the Kim-On restaurant. Late in the night, on March 4th, 1995, Antoinette Frank and Rogers Lacaze visited the Kim-On restaurant in New Orleans. Frank had previously worked there as a security guard. Frank and Rogers Lacaze had been at the restaurant twice earlier that night. However, the restaurant owner, Chow, sensed something was fishy, and she couldn't find the front door key after letting them out. Later, when Chow Vu went to the kitchen to count money and pay Ronald Austin Williams II, another security guard working that night, she saw Frank returning for the third time. Williams, a dedicated New Orleans police officer, had just finished his shift and was working a security detail at the restaurant to support his growing family. But fate had a cruel twist in store for him. Chow quickly sensed something was wrong, so she ran back to the kitchen to hide the money in the microwave. Antoinette Frank entered the front door using the stolen key from her last visit. She walked quickly past Williams, pushing Chow, Chow's brother Kwok, and a restaurant employee into the doorway of the restaurant's kitchen. Williams started to follow, hoping to find out what was happening, when shots rang out. Little did he know that this was his last battle against crime. Lacaze slipped behind Williams and shot him in the neck, damaging his spinal cord and instantly paralyzing him. As Williams fell, Lacaze continued shooting him in the head and back without mercy.
They went there with the full intention of killing everyone there, just to get the cash that may be on that location.
As Frank returned to the dining room, Chow and Kwok hid in a cooler in the kitchen. They witnessed Frank searching for money and heard gunshots. Frank and Lacaze demanded the restaurant's cash from Ha and Kwong Vu, the other siblings, but Frank attacked them when they couldn't find it.
They were on their knees, on the kitchen floor, and she fired 9 bullets into them.
Outside, in their beat-up Ford Torino, Frank and Lacaze sped away. Meanwhile, Chow tried to call 911, but couldn't get a signal. Kwok managed to escape through the back door, leaving behind the lifeless bodies of his brother and sister. He went to a friend's house to report the tragedy that befell them. Frank's fury burned within her when she discovered on her portable police radio that someone had escaped her grasp. She was determined to hunt them down. She returned to the scene in a patrol car, posing as a responding officer, intending to kill Chow and Kwok. But fate intervened. Both Chow and Kwok managed to escape her claws, and told the arriving officers that Frank was the perpetrator. Frank was arrested for 3 first-degree murders, including a fellow officer. Now the search for answers begins. How did Frank, with her troubled past and psychological red flags, manage to become a police officer? What do you think led her to cross that line and become a criminal herself? For answers and updates to these chilling cases, hit that shiny red subscribe button. After being indicted by a grand jury on April 28, 1995, Frank and Lacaze faced separate trials. Lacaze had the unfortunate honor of going first, and his trial took place from July 17th to the 21st, 1995, with Judge Frank Morello presiding. Unsurprisingly, he was found guilty as charged and sentenced to death. Next up was Frank's turn. Her trial began on September 5th, 1995, with the same Judge Morello overseeing the proceedings. In a record-breaking 22 minutes for a capital murder case in New Orleans, they found Frank guilty on all counts. The following day, they took slightly longer, 45 minutes, to recommend the death penalty for her.
It does take a particularly vicious, cold-blooded person to just gun down 3 helpless people who knew you.
On October 20th, 1995, Frank's fate was sealed when she was formally sentenced to death. She was then transferred to death row at the Louisiana Correctional Institute for Women near Baton Rouge. Do you think people should be confined to such places in their last days? Is it too cruel? Or do they deserve such treatment? During the Kim On murder case, a disturbing discovery added more intrigue. Frank's father had vanished before the murders, and later, a skull with a bullet hole was found buried beneath Frank's house. Authorities suspected Frank of killing her father, but took no action due to her existing death sentence. Frank's defense argued that her death sentence should be overturned because she was denied state-funded experts to prepare for the trial. They suggested her childhood trauma might have influenced her actions, citing the possibility of post-traumatic stress disorder. Despite their arguments, the Louisiana Supreme Court upheld the death penalty. Do you agree with their decision? The legal battles continued to shape the fate of the defendants. After the 2016 flooding, she was transferred from the damaged LCIW to other facilities. Lacaze, her accomplice, was resentenced to life imprisonment without parole and is currently held at the Louisiana State Penitentiary. The twisted tale of Frank and Lacaze continues to intrigue and unsettle those who encounter it. Do you think that her escaping death for so long is justified? This chilling tale raises questions about the flaws in the justice system and the depths of human darkness. With Frank sentenced to death and Lacaze serving life imprisonment, the haunting mysteries surrounding their actions leave us pondering the fragile nature of trust and the pursuit of justice. Are we supposed to feel safe with the people entrusted with our protection? Or is it just us to fend for ourselves? That's a wrap for today. Thank you for watching. What are your thoughts about protection and safety? Share them in the comments. See you in the next video.